All right. All right, so everybody can see the screen, kind of the turquoise background here. I want to thank you all for our sessions last week. I think we all learned a lot, and it was extremely valuable having members of the PTAG attend those meetings. So I know all of you weren't able to attend, but I think most of you were able to attend at least one. So thank you all very much. Today I wanted to go over. Tim asked me to go over a little run through of the web map tool that we're using to gather public input, as well as the survey. So I'm going to walk through both of those tools with you so that you can see them. When you go to the survey and web map page, which is this email address, it takes you to the Polk County website. And when you get there, you'll see this page right here. The Polk County Comprehensive Trails Plan gives a little introduction, and then there's two options: to open the web map or complete the survey.
I have a question. Are we supposed to be seeing this on our screen?
Yes.
Oh dear. Okay. I just see everybody frozen on my screen. Okay.
Amy, you're on mute.
She's also frozen.
I'm recording this too, so we can share it after the meeting, hopefully.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay. So you see the two blue rectangles at the bottom, one to open the map or one to complete the survey. And let's say if you go to the map, this is the next screen you get. And it shows the map of Polk County, all the trails, and on the left-hand side, you'll see a number of questions. Click here to tell us where you recreate. Click here to tell us where you have experienced user conflict. And click here to tell us where new trails should be developed. And I'm going to show you how that works exactly. Not that window. That window. There we go. So this is the web page that you land on at Polk County, and then you click on the map. And let's say you want to tell us where you recreate. There's a little tutorial here that says use your mouse or touch screen, left click on or touch the map to add a mark to the map. Okay, so you got it. You click that button, and let's say right here is where I write snowmobiles. And I'm just going to write test to delete so that this gets deleted. It isn't required. But you'll see here, you can add your name, add your recreation, and then a comment. You could say, this is a great place to ride. You could say whatever you want, just a comment. And then you save it. Now, only you will be able to see your comments. No one else will be able to see them.
Bill, I got a question for you.
Yes.
In that tab, are you wanting us to put more than just that we recreate here? I mean, as far as, are you just looking for the different types of recreation there, or you want us to go into detail as to, you know, how long we're there or hiking? I mean, what are you looking for, I guess, in that kind of information in that comment box, or are you not?
It's really anything you would want to write. So if you use that location for other different types of recreation, you can use different icons for that.
Okay.
It's really the way the tool is supposed to be is supposed to work, so that we can get a kind of a quantitative assessment over from a large number of people.
All right.
So if you have more to offer, you go back to this button and you can then do another one, let's say in the same location, Let's say you also cross-country ski here. Say, I also cross-country ski here.
Okay. Got it. Thank you.
Yep. And then it puts a little skier icon there. If you want to go back, and let's say we haven't had much discussion of this, but let's say over in Amory, Folsom Lake. Hold on. There we go. In
Keep going
Amory,
south.
you want to say that you mountain bike there, and then you say mountain bike. And you can see it gets a little cycling icon. And then if you've experienced user conflict on the trail, this is where it gets a little difficult, because I know there's been a lot of conflict historically around the planning process. But what we're asking for is actual user conflict on the trail. Let's say, you know, somebody got hit by a deer right there. So then you write hit by a deer, or whatever the conflict was. Then you click the red box to go back. And then this last button down here lets you add suggestions on where trails should be developed. Now, I know ideally this would be a tool that lets people draw lines. But the problem with that is that you get lines all over the place, and people don't know how to draw lines on computers very well, and you end up with a big spaghetti mess. So we're using a single icon drop again. So let's say you want to go up to the northeast quadrant of the county, and you think there should be improved ATV, UT trails, ATV and UTV trails up here. But again, I'm just going to write test to delete so that this doesn't get recorded. So that's the system. Now there's also these tabs up at the top. If you press home, you go back to home. So you want to go back to your map. Lets you go back to your map. If you want to see what the legend is, you can do that up here using this tab on the upper right. If you want to go to the survey, you can do that, which I'll do next. And then this is a contact us button. So if you want to send us a message, you can do that. And this actually goes to me. So to get to this, does anybody have any more questions about the map tool? All right. So to go to the survey, just click that up here, or if you're on the home page, you click this button. Both of them will get you to the survey. Now we've set the survey up so that every IP address, meaning every device, can only enter the survey once. So you can do it from your phone, you can do it from your computer and your iPad and everything else, but you can't do it twice from your computer. So the first question is, are you a resident of Polk County? I'm going to say yes. If you say no, it lets you, well, actually, I'll say no because I am. And you'll see what it does. So it lets me say, lets me enter the county where I'm from. And then it asks me if I use the trails, and it goes through a series of trail questions. Yes, I use the trails. Yes, I have hiked or snowshoed. And then it asks me, which of the following do you consider the highest priority issues? I'm going to say other, and it's, since I'm a snowshoer, lack of snow. And then the next question is, please identify on average how often you hike or snowshoe on Polk County trails, including the average frequency and duration of your excursion. So let's say I go once a month in the wintertime and I go for 4-hour trips. And then the next question is, have I used ATVs or UTVs? And I say yes. And it's basically going to ask me the same questions for each user group. If I was to say no, which I'll do on the next one, it just skips these questions. Now I'm going to say there's a lack of adequate trails. And then let's say I go once a month for 4 hours. And also gives you an opportunity to type something in. So let's say I'm not a bicycle rider. I click no, and it skips those other questions, and it takes me to the next user group, which is skiing. I say no to that, and no to snowmobiling. I'll say yes to equestrian, and again, it lets me go back into answering the questions, and I'll say, what is the highest priority? Again, I'll just say lack of adequate trails. And then I also clicked other. So I'm going to say that we need more camping. And again, I can put in how often and for how long I go and add another comment. After I've gone through our 6 primary user groups, we have a question for water trails, which are people who float, kayak, canoe. And since we haven't really discussed that, I'll go through this, but it's the same set of questions. And then we go through a set of questions that are open to all users. Tell us what you value or enjoy most about the Polk County Trail System. And you tell them whatever you want. I'm just going to tell them to delete this because it's a test. And then, to what extent do you agree or disagree with the following statement? Polk County has adequate recreational trail facilities. Same undecided. What types of new trails would you like to see in Polk County? Where would you like to see them go and why? So what we're getting at here, maybe there's people who, for whatever reason, they didn't think of something earlier as they were going through the questions, and now they can answer it. So let's say you said, oh, you know what? I forgot to mention that, we need more snowmobiling on public property or something like that. Then you can enter it here. Or if there's a user group we haven't touched on, that can be entered here as well. So somebody who says that they like to bird watch, or if they need handicap accessible trails, or whatever it may be.
Hey, Bill, this is Tim.
Yeah.
I think that question also is for those that answered that they did not recreate on Polk County trails currently, and for them to contribute what they would like to see and why.
Yes, correct. Yep. And then it gives you the option, would you like to receive updates on this trail study? And if you click yes, you have to enter your email address, and then you're done. Oh, it's prompting me again to do this. All right, that's it. Does anybody have any questions on the survey? How it works? What it might be used for? Amy, you're on mute. I see your mouth moving.
Thank you. So I did the thing. I thought it was great. It's super easy. It pops you right to the next place. So nice job designing that. If you want to staff and you did that, thank you. And I have a question on how are we getting this out, and how are we? So that's one question: is what's the outreach or distribution mechanism, and then are we continuing to be vigilant or cognizant of the kind of the Stour effect, where we just got snowballed with one group dominating a bunch of stuff or trying to. So those are my two questions.
Yeah, so there's a couple questions there. The first question, Amy, I don't know if it was my system or your system, but it was hard to hear what you were saying. It was a little gravelly. But the two questions I heard was, number one, how is this being delivered to the public? And Tim, I'm going to forward that question to you.
Sure, yeah, as we talked about at the end of the meetings last week, all the stakeholder groups, all the people that participated in those will get a link to this. Also working with Colleen at the Visitor Center to put this on the Tourism Center's website and Facebook page. There was an article and in the paper, along with a couple press releases in the Leader and the Yellow papers this weekend.
And then as far as helping to mitigate against the snowballing effect, there's a couple tools. Number one is any computer, phone, or individual IP address can only enter the survey once. And any individual can only enter up to 25 activities in the map. So it prevents somebody from, putting 400 responses in it. Now, it will require, after the survey is done, us to go through and look at it with you to determine if there's been anybody who really just abused the system. It's created in a way that makes it more difficult. And then lastly, I would say that although we will be counting ultimately how many users we get, that information is not going to be used in determining the priority projects, or at least within this project, how money will be allocated. So we're not using, if we get 200 people who say that they're snowmobilers and 1,000 people who say that they are equestrian riders, we're not going to be saying, well, equestrian riding or horseback riding is more important, therefore they should get more attention. That's not the project at this time. So we'll be looking basically within each user category. We're looking at each one kind of in a silo.
Bill, we talked about the timeline for the survey instruments. we're looking at 4 weeks, perhaps 6, is that correct? Is there?
Yeah, 4 weeks minimum. If we go beyond, I mean, we can go up to 6 weeks. So if we go beyond 6 weeks, we're going to start running into scheduling issues with the rest of the project. So basically 4 weeks being the middle of August or taking it to the end of August at the latest.
Will you, at some point in time, while the survey instrument is available and live, evaluate a response rate and let us know if there's a need to do more outreach?
Yeah, I can ask Zane, who I worked with to develop this. I can ask him to give me like weekly updates.
I got one question too for you, Tim, is, Terry from Economic Development sits on our PTAG. I would think use this. Yeah, I would think, yeah, instead of just doing just the tourism. Sure. I think EDC could also put it out there. They got a big contact list.
So does that sound, Terry? Can we utilize your platforms to help share and spread the word on this?
Yeah,
I
I can.
didn't hear the question, but what?
Supervisor Nelson was asking if the Economic Development Corporation, who is part of the PTAG, could utilize their reach to help spread the word on this too.
Okay, yeah, that would be great.
Yeah, I'm happy to do that. The only caveat I would say to that is I don't have a way to control duplicates from how you're sending it as opposed to how I'm sending it because I'm on completely separate systems. I'd be happy to pull my list and give it to you and have you dedupe it if you want. My concern only would be that I'd be sending it to people that maybe you're sending it to as well. I'm sure there's many that I have on my list that aren't on yours, but there's vice versa too. But I'm happy to do that, but they might get more than one
Terry,
survey.
the thing is, hey, Terry.
Yep.
Terry. So my thought is we're giving it to the tourism people.
Yeah.
You know,
Same thing on the website or something. So.
yeah, I mean, is it a link? Because, we talked about the equestrian people, like, how do we send out and communicate with that discussion with Ben?
Yeah.
And so let's say you give the link to one equestrian person, Paulette, for example. She sends the link out to her network. There's no, her network can grab that link, right, from,
Yep.
it's an IP address. Same with Terry. If Terry sends the same 10 people that overlap at tourism or overlap with them, it doesn't matter. I mean, we're going to click on it and realize, oh, we already took that survey.
It won't, if it's on the same computer, it won't let you. Yep.
Yeah.
It sounded like the concern was that if one person sends it to 10, those 10 people won't be able to access it because it has the same IP address. And that is not a concern because it reads the address of where you're logging in from. So if you're, so every home has its own router. And if you're logging on from a system from your home, even though you got the message from a friend of yours, you can still log in from your house.
Yeah. It's just a location.
The system self-polices for duplicate responses, but people might get one or two emails that,
Yeah, they might get duplicate emails potentially. Yeah.
Right.
It does have a good presence on our homepage, so the Polk County homepage, the upper right corner. Hard to miss. It's there. So really just directing people to the county homepage.
And it's on, and we have a dedicated page for this project too, under the Parks and Trails Department, and it's available there as well.
But you're saying it will just be as simple as a link. If I get an email from Terry,
Yep.
I get emails from him as an EDC.
Right.
Yep. He'll send the link out. I can hit that link and it goes right to the survey.
Correct.
I don't have to go to the county website, look for it.
Nope.
And do it
It's a
that way.
direct link to it.
Okay.
Okay, are there any more questions about the survey or the website? Now, Tim had asked me to go through that in about a half hour, which we did. Have a couple minutes left. I was going to go through a short, very short summary. I haven't had a chance to go through all the comments from last week's stakeholder meetings, but I was going to go through a short summary just for those who didn't attend any one of the meetings to give them kind of the major themes that were discussed. Tim, do we have time to do that right now?
Yeah, absolutely. That sounds like a good plan.
Okay. So for those of you who weren't in attendance, there were 6 stakeholder meetings. There was one for walkers, hikers, pedestrians, one for cyclists, one for snowmobilers, one for ATV and UTV users, one for cross-country skiers, and one for horseback riders or equestrian users. So with the walkers and hikers, the major themes that kind of came to the surface were ADA accessibility, access to quiet, natural areas, and without there being a lack of with there being a lack of sidewalks, using the trails for simple walks, walking the dog, pushing the kid in the stroller, that sort of thing. Not necessarily always long distance walking. Although when we got drilled down into that, we found from some of the users that there's an impression that there is a greater use of the Ice Age Trail, for instance, in the last year. More people backpacking and using it for long distance trips, but that was not quantified, and it was simply kind of noticed. Major themes of the cycling community was that obviously the connectivity between communities was seen as being important. Benefit to tourism, people coming in from out of state or other parts of Wisconsin to ride on the trails, to use them as recreational tourists. For instance, within the first half hour I was there, I was parked at the Gandy parking lot. 2 people pulled up. They were staying down at the interstate campground. They got on their bikes and they were going to ride the Gandy that evening. And then also using trails as transportation, not just recreation. And that's a lot for the local users, whether it's going to school as part of a Safe Routes to School program or riding to work, especially within kind of the more populated areas. The trail system was seen as being a great benefit for transportation. The snowmobiling community took great pride in their contribution to overall trail maintenance, and their active volunteers and their ability to fund trail maintenance through the funded trails system, kind of the state program. And what they were looking for is stronger connection to the state system, and they're concerned about losing their network of trails on private lands and the increasingly short season. ATV, UTV users, their primary desires were for access across the county and across county lines into the state system. There were several times I heard people say that access to the roads was great, but it wasn't really what people desired. You know, it was there, it was okay. But one thing that came up as a possible solution to that was developing kind of side paths on some of the larger, wider county and town right-of-ways where you could have an ATV or UTV trail off the road in between the pavement and the property line. And so I've heard several times that just in general there weren't enough miles of trails. equestrian users, they were very satisfied with the Governor Knowles area. It draws a lot of people from out of state. It draws people of different abilities, people who want to come and ride for a day or 3 days. They can find a variety of trails, and that was considered a very strong asset. They really wanted to improve on what they have, possibly looking at kind of the northeastern corner of the county, but if anything, looking for more opportunities for campgrounds, and improved campground development for equestrian riders. And then also there was a long discussion about combining an initiative with arena riders or rodeo riders to just build the momentum for horseback riding in the county, and also build the economic impact that horseback riding could bring. And I'm sorry I put an extra carriage return in there. But cross-country skiers, they were another group that was very enthusiastic and felt that their volunteerism and the work they do was a great asset to the community. They welcomed snowshoeing, hiking, cross-country skiing on their trails year-round, and in the summertime, they're being used for equestrian purposes as well. And they also wanted to really focus on improving what exists and possibly expanding what exists if they can, but more than that, securing the land for the long term. It's currently held in private holding, and securing it for the long term in public holding, or securing some sort of long-term easement, was a priority for them. And with that, there we go. With that, I'm gonna, looks like I have a chat. Hold on. Where was this picture of the Stour taken? I need to remove the non-motorized sign. Let's go back to that picture. This image of the Stour was taken. I need to look at a map.
That's on the west end by Lotus
Yeah,
Lake, I believe.
it's within a mile of Amory. As I was getting close to Amory, I was stopping at a bunch of the trail crossings, taking pictures, and I don't remember which road crossing this was, but it was somewhere close to Amory. So our next steps are to fully summarize the conversations we had with all of the user groups, and provide an existing conditions memo that will discuss what the existing conditions are. We'll go through, I can just go through my deliverables here. So I'm going to, the existing conditions memo will summarize our findings, kind of what we saw, and then we'll have a trail demands and opportunities summary, which is what we heard from the community. And both of those will be available for the staff to review, and then for you to review as well. And then from those, we'll be developing the draft project list and recommendations that will then also go through a review process and a prioritization process where we'll be able to pull out kind of the high priority projects. So that is where we're at right now. Does anybody have any questions, particularly about the process or what to expect next? Okay. Tim, Ben, Rob, do you have any questions?
Nope.
Nope, no, we're just, thank you for running through the survey and the web map, showing kind of what those tools look like and how they're used. And some of the things we have built into them, and then going over this quick summary of what happened last week. I think we wanted to make sure that PTAG got at least, a quick turnaround to get a little bit of information back to them right away on how those deep dive meetings went last week. So thank you.
Yeah, no, I thought they went really well. I thought there was a lot of good input. People were very engaged, and they stayed focused to the topic for the most part. I thought everyone who attended had valuable input, and I thought it was nice, for myself to get out and see a lot of the trails. I got out on the Gandy, the Stour, the Cattail Trail, got out on the mountain bike trails. I hiked at Standing Cedars, as well as the national park area. I can't remember, that was just north of that. So got to see a lot of it myself, and get an understanding of the assets that are there, that are quite nice. Next time, hopefully I can ride a snowmobile out there too. It'll be winter by then.
Yeah, we'll have one for you.
Awesome. All right. Well, if there's no more questions, I'll let you guys get on with your meeting. Thank you. Appreciate all your comments and input.
Thanks, Bill.
Thank you, Bill.
Thanks, Bill.
All righty. I'll get off here so you can just start talking about me.
Tim, do we have any other wrap up, or does anybody else have any other questions? We will meet, I think, in 1 month, unless otherwise noted. Tim, do you feel like we're going to have an agenda items for next month? Or?
Amy, everyone's sitting here and no one's telling you, we can't hear hardly anything you say.
Yeah, it's very garbled.
Okay, sorry, it's my broadband. I'll just go away. Bye.
Yeah, that's all we had on the agenda for today. I think if it's okay with everyone, we'll play next month's meeting by ear and see if we have something from Malta to review and to start making decisions on or working on. That'll be the crux of the issue, unless there's some carryover from last month's meeting. But we want to make sure we had this quick turnaround for the deep dive information, so that you guys got at least a little bit of summary as to what happened last week, and continue moving forward with the process. So, any questions?
No.
Sounds good. Anybody else? Well, thanks everyone. Appreciate you joining in. Have a good evening.
All right. See ya.
All right, you do the same.
Thanks.